Alrighty, here we are on a Wednesday. Welcome on into another edition of Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. So the Bengals are off today. They are experiencing an off day of training camp here on Wednesday, July 31st. But we'll take a look back at what exactly went down at their first padded practice yesterday. And of course, the Bengals will be back in action tomorrow for training camp, back out there on the practice field. So we, of course, will keep you updated on that as well. Coming up on today's show, we're going to take a look at Dan Hoard's 5 observations. Okay, so Dan Hoard, the voice of the Bengals, great guy. I used to work with him closely at my previous job, and he always tweets out 5 observations from practice. And I've waited to bring him up on this show because I wanted to wait until the Bengals' first padded practice in order to do that. So we will dive into what exactly Dan Hoard observed yesterday during the Bengals' first padded practice. Also, defensive end, former first-round pick for Cincinnati, Myles Murphy, left practice early. We'll dive into that. Not much concern, but we'll certainly explain exactly what went down yesterday with Myles Murphy. Cam Taylor-Britt, CTB, is back. Practiced for the first time yesterday in pads, and that certainly is good to have cornerback 1 back out there for Cincinnati. And also, there was a Joe Burrow rumor circulating on the internet that has been debunked. We'll tell you exactly what that was and the fact that it has been put to rest, and that'll close out our show today. But first, make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel here at Bengals Breakdown. It is the last day of the month, and in June we had 355 subs, as you can tell, and in July we currently have 307. So we really need to pop off on this video today. Again, last day of the month, so it looks like we need, 48 subs to tie that mark, and certainly believe we can do that because we have gotten that number on a show before. So help us out. Hit that sub button so you do not miss any Bengals content. That is youtube.com/BengalsTV. Jumping into our first observation from day 6 of Bengals training camp from Dan Hoard. He said Joe Burrow threw some frozen ropes today. From 6 weeks ago to now, there's a difference, a positive one, said offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher. As time goes on, I think he'll get better and better, and I like where he is right now. If you had to pick one takeaway from Bengals training camp thus far, Joe Burrow would be that takeaway, because when you look back at his career, he really has not been out there for Cincinnati in a training camp situation. If you remember his rookie year, he was dealing with COVID during that point, and obviously all the other years we've had some type of injury or something, appendectomy, that has kept him out of Bengals training camp. So just the fact he's out there this time of the year with the team slinging that football around is a great sign, and really expect big things from Joe Burrow this year. And man, a full training camp, you obviously cross your fingers that that can happen for Burrow. That certainly is a scary thought if you are a team facing the Cincinnati Bengals this season. Second observation from Dan. He said it was the first day in full pads, and there was even a period with live tackling near the end of practice. Everyone got excited on the sideline, so it was great, said Lou Anarumo. We're going to, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, we're going to play tackle football when it's real, so at some point you've got to just do it. And I'm a fan of this. I totally get this, right? You don't want to see the Bengals be sloppy out there towards the beginning of the year. I think you saw that with the Cleveland game last year. And it's football. You just got to go out there and tackle. Injuries are going to happen. It's a part of the game. And I love the fact there's some great videos out on the internet. The Bengals were really hitting the pads heavy yesterday, and I'm totally here for this. Lou Anarumo went into this a little bit more depth when he was talking with the media after practice. He said, I just think we can evaluate all we want in shorts and T-shirts, but ultimately football is played with helmets and shoulder pads, getting off blocks and covering guys with all that stuff on. So it's different for both groups. And I really love this from Anarumo. He's a tough guy. He's trying to build that toughness with the team. And it's good to be out there with your guys, getting the pads together, hitting, and obviously, hopefully nobody gets hurt. But I think it's great practice for the Cincinnati Bengals. But I want to know what you guys think. Let us know down at the pinned comment of today's show. Do you support tackling in training camp? Because there's a lot of different ways teams do this. Some teams don't tackle at all, but the Bengals are out there tackling, and I'm in full support of this. But let me know what you think down in the comments right now. Type Y for yes or type N for no. If that ad comes here on the YouTube side, that's fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comments and let us know what you think. A third observation from the voice of the Cincinnati Bengals, Dan Hoard. He said Charlie Jones made several catches, including a pair of red zone TD grabs. Day one in pads is really when camp starts, Jones said. That's what I've been working for since last season. I'm starting to feel more comfortable in the offense and more comfortable in general. And this is great to see from Charlie Jones. I admittedly have been pretty hard on Charlie Jones, and I've kind of cast him aside to some degree. Certainly going to be one of the 6 receivers that make the roster for Cincinnati. But based off what you saw from him last year, I don't know. I felt like he didn't pop quite as much as I was expecting. Certainly was a threat in the punt return game for Cincinnati. Taking a look at some of his stats here, didn't catch many balls. Obviously was dealing with an injury that cost him some time as well. But I think Charlie Jones is another guy to keep an eye on. I think the Bengals really, really love what they have in this wide receiver room. And, we'll see if they release a depth chart at some point. Right now, he would stand at that wide receiver 4 spot. It would be hard for me to take him over Andre Iosivas at this point, but all these guys are going to have a role on the team. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly that is for Charlie Jones. And he's made a lot of plays during training camp thus far, and he's opened a lot of eyes. So maybe he is in for a big year 2 leap as well. Another observation from Dan Hoard. He said, with Trent Brown likely out for a few more days, Marius Mims is banking reps next to Alex Cappa. I'm in the huddle with him. I'm beside him on the field. I'm just picking his brain, said Mims. He's won a Super Bowl and knows what it takes, and that will help me. I think Marius Mims certainly is taking advantage of what he is getting with Trent Brown not being out there, right? I don't think he would get nearly this many reps if Brown was practicing. And by all accounts, Marius Mims is doing a fantastic job. And I don't think it is out of reach to think that he possibly is competing to be in that right tackle spot for Bengals Week 1 against the New England Patriots. Right now, the depth chart certainly stands with Trent Brown being that guy, but I think Marius Mims is really going to give him a run for his money. And I'm expecting a lot from Marius Mims. Certainly his career in Cincinnati and perhaps even year 1 as a rookie as well. But first, before we move on with today's show, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Game Time because today's show is presented by Game Time. And I love the summer because Major League Baseball is in full swing, and I love making the walk down the street for a Reds game every chance I get. The Reds getting back on track with another win against the Cubs last night. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. And with the NFL season just over a month away, you can get tickets to watch the Bengals at Paycor Stadium. And Game Time doesn't just have sporting events either. They have concert, comedy, theater, and more. You want to go down to the Aronoff Center and catch a play, you can do that. Riverbend, perhaps see a concert, you can do that as well. They still have some guys that are going to be rolling into that venue, so make sure you take advantage of that. And I love the zone deals. You choose the section and Game Time chooses the seats. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off first purchase. Check out gametime.co for last-minute tickets. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, our last observation from voice of the Bengals, Dan Hoard, and I really like this one. It's from about Mike Gesicki, who, of course, the Bengals acquired in free agency this offseason. He said, Mike Gesicki catches 160 balls on the jugs machine every day. In the offseason, I actually do 200, he said. I have a machine at home, and my wife shoots them to me. It's 160 here because my routine includes 20 high and 20 low balls, and that requires moving it up and down. If you take a look at my Twitter, there's actually a great video of Mike Gesicki reeling in another one-handed catch. He's made several of those in camp for Cincinnati, and he's probably, out of the new guys, it's him and Geno Stone that I'm most looking forward to watching, because Mike Gesicki is a really, really talented football player, and I think people forgot about that, given his year last year in New England and the kind of debacle he was dealing with offensively. But you put him in an offense with Joe Burrow and you surround him with great wide receivers like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, I think Mike Gesicki is going to have a massive year for Cincinnati, and he's had an outstanding training camp, and all his teammates have really raved about what he's been able to do for them out there on the football field. The Bengals are deep in that tight end room, and there's going to be somebody that gets eliminated from that room that probably is good enough to make an NFL roster. But the guy at the top of the room, there is no question about that. It is Mike Gesicki, and I cannot wait to see what he does in stripes this year for Cincinnati. Before we move on, another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Let us know what you think down in the comments section. Name a player that has impressed you thus far. You've seen some video across social media. Maybe you've had the opportunity to check out a practice in person. You've read some articles from various guys in the media. And, of course, you've watched our shows here at Bengals Breakdown. So based on all that, name a player that has impressed you so far. Let us know right now down in the comments section. Okay, so Myles Murphy left practice early yesterday. He limped off the field Tuesday and did not return to practice. Now, Lou Anarumo said afterwards that it was just cramps, and he pretty much shut that down, and it doesn't seem like any injury is even in the fold for Myles Murphy. This is what Trag said once, Murphy left the practice field. He said Myles Murphy ass off, stays in for a rep, then limps to the sideline, and is being tended to by Bengals trainers. It's hot out there. They're ramping it up. First day in pads. You get a little cramp action. That's all that was for Myles Murphy. It's pretty obvious that that is the case. I mean, Lou Anarumo, again, shut down any questions about a potential injury. These kinds of things happen towards the beginning of camp when you're in that ramp-up phase. So I think Myles Murphy is certainly going to have a massive role on this team in year 2, and I'm really excited to see what he does at that defensive end position. Also, CTB returned to practice yesterday. Really good to have him back. Cornerback 1, obviously, for Cincinnati. Had his tonsils removed. That's kind of what made him miss the first couple of days of training camp, and just great to have him back out there. And he really has improved a lot from a leadership standpoint going into year 3 in the NFL. And he's a guy that could potentially earn a captaincy with this team at some point going forward. And actually, Chuck Burks, the Bengals cornerbacks coach, discussed that. But first, he said his greatest skill set is his ball skills 100%. I had a chance to work with Xavier and Howard, and I would put him on par with Howard. His ball skills are amazing. His feel for the game is really good, and that's something I think the great corners have to have. Instincts, ball skills, and just the competitive edge, and he has all 3 of those traits. And more importantly, he really loves it. He works hard at it. He's the type of guy I could see being a captain for the team. He's really been gradually improving in that area as well. I'm excited about where he's at. I think Cam Taylor-Britt obviously has a lot of room for improvement, but he has also solidified himself as a true cornerback 1 in the NFL. If you remember that playoff game against Buffalo a couple of years ago, he was following around Stephon Diggs, right? So the Bengals have a lot of belief in him. Chuck Burks clearly has a lot of belief in him, and I think that he's going to go out there and have a massive year for Cincinnati. He got beat by T. Higgins several times at practice yesterday, but again, he's still trying to get his feet wet, get up to speed and things of that nature, having not practiced the first couple of days of training camp. So expect him to have a much better day of practice tomorrow once Cincinnati is back out on the football field. And one last thing before we get out of here, there was some Joe Burrow rumors circulating on the internet. Rumors that he was a part of some white dude's call in support of Kamala Harris. And the only reason we're bringing it up because the post that said that was viewed like over 3 million times. That original post has been deleted. But the Bengals, a spokesperson for the team, came out and said, this is not true. Joe Burrow was not a part of this. And, I would say that's certainly a good thing. We don't get political here on Bengals Breakdown. We just stick to the football. But, yeah, Joe Burrow was not involved with that white dude's call whatsoever, and that's probably a good thing for him as well as the Bengals team. Make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel here at Bengals Breakdown. Again, we're trying to catch our June sub number, and today's the last day, so we really got to pop off on this video. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. We got watch parties coming for you as well here once the preseason gets going. I believe August 10th is the first preseason game for Cincinnati. Yep, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we will be live for that. So hit that sub button. That's youtube.com/BengalsTV.